As I watch my pan and zoom pictures of the orbs that I've taken pictures of so much this last couple of years, tonight I am feeling so very happy and almost giddy. I just feel so in love with God. And it's like unexplainable. It's like, how do you know how to love God? And what I think is that God is all that is, and I guess I'm falling in love with all that is. Everything. I don't hate anyone. Not even those that most people call the enemy. And I thought, there's just some wave of love that seems to be flooding me and making me see everyone as myself. And I just love them. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I love them all. And I thought I would use this occasion to tell those who listen to me talk something about what happened in my past, my learning how to love the enemy. At one time, I was not as close to God as I should be, and I wanted to know spirit, and so I read a lot of books about people who were spiritualists, and I'm not saying anything bad about them, but I delved into this sort of thing without any mentor, and I started trying to do automatic writing, and I did contact spirit, and I was so thrilled at first. It was like, wow, this really works. But then after a while, I realized that these voices I was hearing were just having a heyday with me, making me believe in them, and then being real mean. And it was driving me kind of crazy. Actually, 3 times I checked myself into places, that are lockup facilities, because I just could not function. I just couldn't function as a normal human being because of these voices. And always in those facilities, there really wasn't anything they would do except give you shots and medicine and stuff like that and talk to you a little bit, but I never really got the help I needed to completely get rid of these voices that I was hearing. And I got labeled schizophrenic. But let me tell you what happened. At one point, I managed to go to a thrift store and buy this book by Joel Goldsmith, and it was called, I think, Practicing the Presence or something like that. And in this book, he talked about how everything is God. Both visible things and invisible things, they're all God. God is all that is. And I thought about that, and I thought, well, these things that are talking to me and driving me crazy, that I have learned now to hate, they're part of God, and I shouldn't hate them. But they were attuned to everything I thought. They knew what I was thinking, and they would interrupt my thoughts and speak to me. But after I realized that they were part of God, I said to them, I know who you are, but you don't know who you are. And I want you to know that I don't hate you anymore, but that I love you. But also that I do not want you to talk anymore. I don't want you talking to me at all. And I'm going to read some good books because I think this is the way I'll find out who I am and who you are. And I told them they needed to read over my shoulders, like a person looking over the shoulders of someone reading a book. And I gave them permission to do that, but not to talk to me anymore. Now, over the course of over a year that this had happened to me, and I'd been in and out and tried to get rid of them, tried to go to a church. I mean, I did go to a church where I asked them to exorcise, do the exorcism of them out of me, but it did not work. They were still there. And now that I told them I loved them and gave them the conditions of they could listen to the words, look over my shoulder and read the words and listen to my thoughts about what I was going to read, they left me alone. They did not talk to me anymore. And I was so relieved because they were driving me crazy. And I just prayed to God that He would lead me to the right books to read, and that I would find out more about who I am, which that has happened. That prayer has been answered. I have found books practically free, some of them, and others that cost very little, and very good books that explain to me who and what God is. And now I had a better concept of God, that He is all that is. So anyway, to get on with what happened, is that about after a year of not hearing them anymore, one day I said, "Are you still there?" to them. Because I could talk to them like that. It was that easy when they were talking to me. So I just said, "Are you still here? You can talk. I give you permission if you're there." And then they talked to me again. And I asked them, did they learn anything from all the things I had read that year? And they said, yes, they had. And they thanked me. And they were happy. And they were glad to tell me that they would never do that to me again, nor do it to anyone, because now they understood who they were. And I was so happy that that had happened for them and for me. And I thought about how Jesus said for us to love our enemies. And our enemies are sometimes invisible beings. And quite often the church just tells you to send them to the pits of hell, to the lowest places in hell. There's just no mercy at all for what they consider a demon spirit. Now I realize these spirits were just ignorant. They were unevolved. They didn't have as much light. They needed more light, more understanding. And so I gave them permission to get that. And I know this sounds almost incredible that such a thing should happen. And I'm not going to be ashamed or embarrassed that this happened to me, that I let myself do such a foolish thing. Because for one thing, I don't think there are any accidents. I think it was all planned, and it was a purpose served. It certainly served me to get myself free of them and to get them help. And I think this is a lesson, not just for me, but for anyone hearing me talk about this. I just want to let you know that when you learn to love the enemy, your love for God increases exponentially. I probably said that word wrong. But now I'm able to get these pictures of these light orbs, and I'm feeling so happy. And nothing has happened so great every day. I mean, actually I've been having a little sickness, but I'm still very, very happy. Almost giddy happy. It's almost bliss. And I think I'll get to that place where it is just pure bliss. Because I have read that God's one emotion is bliss. And God is not a God that can get angry or judgmental or demanding of penance or sending you to some horrendous place like hell. That's not the real God. The Bible God is not the Creator, all that is. And when you get to know the real God, that God is consciousness, and that God is a power that indwells every single living thing. And I even believe, contrary to what even some New Age people teach, some people say there are beings who are soulless. I don't think that's possible. I think everything has a soul, because everything is part of God. And I would just tell people, love all that is, because there's great benefit from doing exactly that. Now, I can't tell you the benefits are that I come into a lot of money, or I have the greatest health, or I'm rejuvenating my body, getting younger, or anything like that. But you know what? I don't think those things are impossible. I do know I'm way more excited about life. And I will have to add this, sometimes when this sort of thing happens to you, it puts you at odds with family members that don't also feel this way. But that's all right too, because I've learned to let go of thinking I need to change anyone. Everyone is just going through their stuff. And eventually, if they see the light in me, some of my family members might look into what I've looked into. But so far, they're a little bit scared of it. And I can understand that. They saw me in those days when I was checking myself into lockup facilities and not really knowing how I was ever going to get out of that kind of way of being. I mean, there were times I wanted to take my life when I was going through that. It was a very hard thing. And when I look back on it now, I think I would never want to do that again. But I am convinced that probably that was the only way for me to learn this lesson of loving all that is. And it is hard. I work on it still every day, because I listen to the news and I get mad at certain politicians and the way people war with one another and kill and bomb and abuse the earth. And I see a lot of the participation of that is my own self. I mean, I eat hamburgers from these places that don't even put the right things in the meat. Well, I don't anymore, but I used to eat McDonald's, and I have been party to some of the abuses of the earth. And some of my family members, they're really for the oil companies. Maybe it's because some of them work for that, and it makes them good money. And I realize that the way that ensnares us is that doing something that makes you money, even if it's a wrong thing, well, the money is so enticing. But it's no different than me deciding to purchase things from Walmart, even though Walmart uses a lot of products that are made in other countries where the people aren't treated right in the workplace. And still, I go for the cheap prices. So I'm part and parcel of all of this. And I'm working on getting to where I at least try to do the right thing. Now I'm feeling guilty. Oh, where's my joy? I have been working and trying, but trying is not doing. I know. But for some reason, this very night I just feel so very happy and joyous and in love with everything, myself included. And there's a lot of forgiveness in me for the things people are doing. I'm going to hold no judgment over it, but do the thing that God does, call everything good. and call what is not as though it were. This is the Dove Lady, over and out for now.